Hello, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Alec John Bell, and I am an author and a college student. And I am here today because I wanted to talk about something that I learned in my philosophy of law class. So, I am a religious studies major at ASU online. I live in Massachusetts, but I go to school online at Arizona State University. And my major, like I said, is religious studies, but my minor is in social justice and human rights. I am just going to forewarn you right now, and this is a warning that you're going to get a lot if you stick around on this channel, because this is something that really impacts my life, which is that I have fibromyalgia. And my fibromyalgia is acting up today. So I'm just sitting here with a blanket, just cozy on the couch. I hope that's okay. I hope this kind of relaxed setting is appealing to people, because this is the setting that is typically going to be the case on this channel, because it's just the most appealing to me. I know that for me, I like to watch a lot of YouTubers who are chill and relaxed, and a lot of people have big setups and big things going on. Don't mind my blinds. My cat destroyed them. But other than that, I think this setting is pretty cute. You know, we have the tapestry. We've got this blanket here. You know, we've got my little thing over here that says come in for a spell, because I do practice witchcraft, or at least I used to. I don't really so much anymore. But yeah, anyway. So, with all of that being said, today we're going to be talking about Bostock versus Clayton County. Now, this is an assignment that I had to do for my philosophy of law class. So, you're probably wondering, Alec, why did you take a philosophy of law class when you're a religious studies major and your minor is in social justice and human rights? Well, my degree requires an American institutions credit, which is basically a history class. However, they offer philosophy of law as one of the options. And so I took it upon myself to avoid the boring classes. Oh, guys, y'all, some of the classes they had sounded so boring. They were like 1850s to present day, United States and Arizona studies, and just like things that sounded so uninteresting to me, and I knew that I wasn't gonna be stimulated enough by those classes. So I took philosophy of law. And at the end of our course, we had to do a paper, and we had to do a philosophical paper on whatever topic related to law that we wanted to. I had met with my professor, and I said to him that I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do for my paper, but that I wanted to either do my paper on LGBTQ rights or immigration, because those are the two things that I'm most passionate about in life right now, besides my education and my writing. And so my professor recommended Bostock versus Clayton County, and that is what I wrote my paper on. So I wanted to share. I'm not going to read you my paper, because that will be a nightmare for all of us, but I wanted to kind of go over the case and kind of my critique of the case. And I know that my opinion is going to be very unpopular in the LGBTQ community. I just can't avoid the dilemma issue, the core issue. Also, this needs to be moved over, like, there we go. No, there we go. Anyway, sorry about that. So this this my opinion is not going to be popular within the LGBTQ community. I know that. I'm aware of that. And I am a gay man. So if in case you can't tell, I am a gay man. And I tried to look at this situation impartially. So I tried to be like, okay, why did this happen? How did this happen? How did this court case get passed? And, or how did this new law get passed? And, like, what are the lasting effects of that? And kind of, like, how did we get here? How did all of this happen? So, basically, if you're unfamiliar with Bostock versus Clayton County, I have my paper up in front of me. Like I said, I'm not going to read you the paper, but I'm going to give you an overview. So basically, Gerald Bostock was a gay man, and he joined a gay recreational softball team. And he, at his job, he had been there for 10 years. 10 years. And he received numerous accolades. He received lots of praise. Just everything that you could think of, he got it. And when he joined this gay softball league, he was fired. And so he took his case to the Supreme Court and said that he was fired on the basis of his sexual orientation. Now, this brings us to the the biggest problem I think that we have with this case, which is that the Supreme Court took Bostock versus Clayton County, which also, I believe, if I am not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was another case that was added in with this one of a transgender woman, I believe. And they basically combined these cases because they were like, well, why are we going to have like a million different cases about the same thing? So they kind of combined a few different cases and put them all under Bostock versus Clayton County. But so the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Bostock, and their reasoning is that he was fired on the basis of sex. So at the time, there were protected characteristics, and the protected characteristics that were in the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Let's see, what were they? So the protected characteristics of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 were race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. So sexual orientation was not introduced at this time. So the Supreme Court, because of the fact that sexual orientation was not a factor, or not a protected characteristic that they could choose from, they went ahead and said, okay, well, it has to do with sex. And that's kind of where they lost me. And that was what I based my paper on. My paper goes into kind of how I feel about this, and I'll just give you the general idea of what I think about this matter. So, to me, to put sexual orientation under the umbrella of sex, it doesn't seem fair, because it seems like we're just like taking things and turning them into something else, because sexual orientation and sex are two different things. Sexual orientation is about the body parts that a person is attracted to, whereas sex is about the body parts that a person has. And so these are two completely different things that are happening. And I think that in justifying this by saying he was discriminated because of his sex, I think that was a little extreme on the Supreme Court's part. I think that they could have done a lot of different things. But, you know, for me, there are people who strongly disagree with this, because a lot of people who disagree with my opinion, because one argument is that if there are two men and one of them is heterosexual and one of them is homosexual, and they both have equal performance and equal accolades and equal whatever, and then the homosexual gets fired, the chances are the homosexual was fired because of his sex. That's kind of where they're getting their logic from. For me, though, I think that you know, I think this could apply to transgender people. I do believe that this sex argument could apply to transgender people, because even though gender and sex are different, there's at least a correlation there. I still, for some reason in my mind, don't see the correlation between sex and sexual orientation. I mean, I see it. It's there. It's vague. It's there a little bit, but not entirely. And something else that I also pointed out in my paper is that when they ruled in favor of Bostock versus Clayton County in 2020, sexual orientation was finally added to the protected characteristics. So basically what we're saying is that, oh, we're going to go off sex and then we're going to add sexual orientation. Now, for me, I don't know why this is something, and if you know more about the law than I do, then please explain this to me, because I'm confused. But I don't understand how they couldn't just add sexual orientation to the protected characteristics and then rule in that way. Like, why couldn't they just add that? Why did they have to follow this? Why did they have to go through the sex route and then add sexual orientation? That's where I got lost. And so that's what I founded my paper on. And essentially, I just said that, you know, while Bostock versus Clayton County is seen by many as monumental, viewing the decision impartially, I believe that the Supreme Court overstepped by trying to connect sexual orientation to sex as if they are somehow the same thing, or at least under the same umbrella. This may be true for transgender individuals, where I could see that this decision apply to their case, because it is an issue regarding sex and gender identity. However, there is just not a strong enough argument for me to believe Bostock versus Clayton County should have passed. In spite of all this, after all the information I have presented above, this does not mean I disagree with the court's decision. I do believe, however, as a homosexual man, that we have a right to be in the workplace, and our rights should be protected, and that we have and the fact that sexual orientation was added to the protected characteristics after this case really shines a light on the issue that has been going on for decades. People from the LGBT and definitely T and Q too communities have struggled to maintain jobs, to be allowed to live in this world without facing discrimination on every street we walk upon. Regardless of how we got here, Bostock versus Clayton County has brought us to where queer people can no longer lose their jobs over their queerness. As we move toward the future, I hope to see more results like this so that I can feel safe and comfortable to be myself in a country that I call home. So that was the final paragraph of my paper. And I hope that people understand that I'm not trying to diminish what the Supreme Court did with Bostock versus Clayton County, because I completely agree with the court's decision. I just don't know if I agree with how they got there. Like, you can agree with something but not agree with the means of how they got there. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So that is my critique of Bostock versus Clayton County. You can either love it, you can hate it, you can tell me to go fuck myself. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to get this video up because I really wanted to talk about it, because I'm so excited. Like, and I can't wait to see what my final grade is for this paper. I can't wait to just be done with this class and start my new classes. And yeah, I think there was a lot of good points that were made, and I think there are a lot of reasons why this was allowed to happen the way that it did. However, I'm not entirely positive that this is the route that it should have gone on, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. This was a really fun paper to write, and I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot. I feel like, despite how difficult the class was, because the class was extremely difficult, like very difficult. And I remember at the very beginning of the class, my professor said, philosophical writing is not good writing. And then when I met with my professor yesterday to go over my draft, he told me that my writing was good writing. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. I was like, does that mean that I'm doing a good job? Because isn't philosophical writing supposed to be bad writing? So if I'm good writing, am I failing? Am I not doing a good job? But no, he said my writing was really good and precise and concise and very well put together. He said some of it seemed convoluted, which I fixed, and I think that I wrote the best paper that I possibly could, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm happy to have sat here and had this discussion with you here today, because I just felt like I needed to share what I learned, and I hope that you learned something from this too. I'm sure there's probably a lot better videos out there that discuss this topic, but we're just chilling. We got blankets, we got pillows, You know, we have a whole vibe over here. So I'll see you all again soon. I love you all. Bye.